So what exactly are we watching happen right now? If, as I mentioned in the last segment, we have about the same number out of people as there are out of work as there are jobs available right now. A lot of the unemployment benefits that we've watched, the increase in that is going to go away in September. Is that going to change things? What is the lay of the land? Let's talk about it with Eric Larson, CEO of the Downtown Detroit Partnership. Carolyn Casson is the president and CEO of Michigan Women Forward, and Bonnie Fahum is the director of business programs at Design Corps Detroit. Gang, thanks very much. Eric, let me start with you. What are we watching right now where we have so many people? In fact, we have businesses right now turning down work because they don't have enough employees. That's a rough spot to be in.
Yeah, Devin, thanks so much for having me, and it's wonderful to be here with the entire panel. You're absolutely right. I mean, it's a very interesting position to be in, where businesses, especially small businesses, are unable to support their activities. And so we're seeing some businesses that are roaring back. Many of the restaurant and bars are actually seeing pre-pandemic revenue, but many of the other businesses that really rely on a much more flexible workforce, as well as don't have the same revenue streams to support higher wages, are struggling, if they're even being able to stay open. We did a recent survey of 13 of the largest employers in downtown Detroit, and 63% of them were planning to have some portion of their workforce back in the office this month. 93 would have a portion of it back by the end of fall, but 50% of them suggest that for the future, there's going to be some form of remote, flexible work environment as part of their employment strategy.
This is going to get really complicated to figure out the real estate landscape, of course, and office space. Carolyn, there's sort of this thumbnail that a lot of people are giving us, I think, that suggests that, well, we just have a whole bunch of people who don't want to work, whether it's going to work in person or whether it's working at all and taking unemployment. It's more complicated than that, isn't it? I mean, we've had schools closed, we've had daycares closed for so long. I mean, it's a complicated picture, it seems to me.
It is, absolutely. This is a huge transformation that's happening in the United States right now, and actually all across the world, but let's focus on here at home. And so it's going to take a while for this to all kind of sort itself out. But, women have known for a long time that the way work has been organized and, being out of the home 8 to 10 hours a day was very difficult for them. And so, we're actually looking forward to this being a kind of a new world order, and the world of work being very, very different. Most of the jobs that people are not going back to are low-wage jobs or jobs that don't have a great deal of flexibility.
Yeah.
They are human interaction jobs where you have to be there. And that hasn't worked when you have children that are, now home for the summer, and hopefully we'll be back in school in the fall. It's a very complicated issue, but we'd love to talk to you about it.
That's why I brought in the right folks for it. I know that's for sure. Bonnie, there's this, I grew up in sort of the, I guess, the yuppie generation where people really did too often live to work. And now we've got a lot of people who are starting to, a younger generation that I think understands that you do have to work to live. But we start talking about the study I mentioned earlier that where, a 4-day work week turns out to make people happier and tends to be, and yet they still are more productive. Working from home, I think a lot of people felt like they were more productive than they were going to the office. What do you think the lasting ramifications are from what we're going through?
Well, it'll be interesting to see. I think it's, I've always said about a number of things, and my kids would laugh about this because it's one of my mantras. The truth is always in the middle.
Yeah.
And I think there are some benefits for folks being able to work from home. And as Carolyn said, the flexibility for people to, manage their life, elder parents, children, pets, et cetera, things that have to happen at the home. For young folks, as you alluded to, also, they care about what they're doing at work, but they want more flexibility. They want to be able to travel and see other places, and they want to work in a different way. And I think all that's great. But we also have noticed, or at least suspect, that they're missing something from the interaction in the office in terms of mentorship from more seasoned employees. We noticed it ourselves this year at Design Corps. We always have a CCS intern, College for Creative Studies intern, working with our team, who who just benefits, I think, from the organic kind of conversation and workflow that happens in the office. They learn something about how to work from seeing seasoned people and more experienced people go about their day. And you miss that if you're not inviting them to every Zoom meeting where they can sit there and understand and kind of get a, even raise some questions in their mind about what's happening or understanding different programs at your work. They're only invited to particular Zoom meetings and they might be afraid to speak up in a Zoom situation. I think it happens also with, things like professional development. There's workshops and conferences and other things that developing professionals typically will go to. Now that they're online, there's some benefits to that. I think you can participate and it's less expensive. You don't have to travel, but there's also some drawbacks in the ability to really interact when you're in these breakout sessions, especially if you're a young professional who doesn't necessarily have the confidence yet or the skills to speak out and contribute. I think there's going to be something lost. So I don't know. I think it's in the middle. I really do, Devin. I think the truth is in the middle.
All those are terrific points. Eric, as we look at the way that we have allowed Detroit to develop now, the new sort of resurgent Detroit was built around the work model. We convinced a lot of big employers to come back into the city, and by virtue of that, a whole bunch of people needed to move into the city and downtown in particular so that they could be closer to work. Have we got it all messed up now if we're not going to be building our lives around a workplace?
Yeah, I mean, Devin, you're a lot younger than I am, but the badge of honor to
Not a lot, but go ahead.
on hard work definitely resonates. But at the Downtown Detroit Partnership, we're a perfect example. We learned a lot during this pandemic. It was extremely difficult. It was difficult for us as an employer, but also as employees. But we've gone to a flex work that we're testing. We've got 20 hours in the office and 20 hours that is completely flexible to work wherever you want to work. We also have leveraged a lot of the public spaces that we activate and program. We have deployed public Wi-Fi, free access to public Wi-Fi in all of those downtown parks so that people have better digital access, not just our employees, but anyone working or visiting the city. And I think, Devin, to your point, I think what will end up happening is, yes, many of the employers and the real estate, the use of office real estate will change as we move forward. But much of what makes a downtown and sort of the organic nature of coming together can still happen. It doesn't always happen in the office place. It can happen in a park. It can happen episodically on the street. And that's what we're going to see, I think, a resurgence of, which ultimately provides a better quality of life and a better experience.
I hope that's right, Carolyn, because to Bonnie's point, the connectivity that work provides to a lot of people, we have a worldwide epidemic right now of loneliness. I'm not sure remote working is the cure for that.
No, but it's the word flexibility. It's really having the flexibility. We've learned what we valued, right, Devin? All of us, we've learned what we really valued during this pandemic, and we valued working from home some days, right? And we valued being together. How excited were you when you first got to see somebody in person that you hadn't seen for a very, very long period of time? We're going to have an integrated, I think, work-life balance as opposed to, before it was one or the other. And now, I walked over to see my grandkids at lunch. And took a half an hour, but boy, I felt a lot better, and I think they did too. We had a lot of fun.
Exactly. Bonnie, I've only got about 20 seconds left. I'm going to assume same thing. That's what you want, right? Isn't it flexibility?
Absolutely. I mean, I have, even just for myself personally, I have some health challenges with my aging mother now that has afforded me this work from home. I've been able to be in Boyne City and help my family take care of her. So, from a personal perspective, yes, but I also really miss connecting with people at work. And I feel disconnected a little bit from the clients and the work itself by being so far removed. So again, I think the blend is going to be the key for the future. I
think you're right. Eric, Carolyn, Bonnie, thanks so much for some great thoughts and conversation on it. We'll see you again soon. I hope we'll wrap things up for Flashpoint right after this.